Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 8th of June. Today we have a lot of interesting updates, so let's start. And today we are going to start with our Slavyansk bridgehead. This is the territory that we discussed yesterday. If you take a look at this map, you're going to see that the West Sources map has been updated. They added two important updates. One of them is that Svyatogorsk is under Russian control, and the area in Liman bridgehead, this is Liman, I'm talking about the area that located on the west-south, this is the area, is also under Russian control. If you remember, yesterday both these territories weren't under Russian control. Now let's take a look at the Russian sources map. This is the map. There is almost no changes in comparison with the yesterday, just one important update. You see this icon over our Tyanovka. If you remember, yesterday I told you that the Russians established control over this church, and to do this they crossed Severodonetsk river and established small bridgehead in the Tyanovka, and with help of that they managed to push Ukrainian forces from the church, from this bridgehead, towards more reliable positions like town Bogorodichne, Sidorovo, Priship, and so on. I told you about the fact that the Tyanovka was captured yesterday in the evening, and to tell the truth, there were almost no confirmation about this. But this morning of local time, almost every single Russian Telegram channel or Russian military source confirmed this information. But I must say that none of the West sources confirmed this information. We can understand them, of course. This town is very important. This bridgehead is vital for the Ukrainians and for the Russians. And who controls this bridgehead? Those party controls the entire area on the top, on the north from Slavyansk, from this town. Let's discuss the situation in this bridgehead one more time. Very fast, of course, we need to move on to Severodonetsk. So this is the current situation on the Slavyansk bridgehead. Dovginke is under the Russians, according to the Russian sources. Studionek Pasika is under the Russians. Svyatogorsk and Tatyanovka, the bridgehead on this side of the Severodonetsk bulk, also is under Russian control. This forest is the forest where the most heavy clashes are. And these two areas, these yellow areas divided with these lakes, is under the Ukrainians' control. So this is the current situation. Just one note about this forest. Very interesting, I found out that the Russians has some certain name for this forest, for all these forests on the Slavyansk bridgehead, for this forest, and this forest. They call them Sherwood forest. It's like the forest in the Robin Hood tale. I don't know why did they choose this title for this forest, but I think that maybe because of the fact that it's too dangerous there and that there are very heavy clashes in this forest. Also, yesterday we got some updates that the Russian army started their movement towards Dolina and towards Bogorodichne. And with the news that Tyanovka fell and that the Russians established control over this bridgehead, we got some updates from some Russian sources that the Russians managed to establish control over the suburbs of Bogorodichne. So this area, according to some Russian sources, is also under the Russian control. So the Russians are moving very fast, very aggressive, and they're pushing Ukrainians back towards Slavyansk and towards this part of Sherwood forest. Another update about Tyanovka. We understand the importance of this bridgehead. We understand why the Russians marked this area with some kind of icon saying that this territory is under the Russians, like with double arrow icon. That means that there are very heavy clashes and there is a lot of confirmation that this territory is under the Russians. But as you see, this territory is not colored with red or without the Russian flag. That means that the Ukrainians still have some possibilities, of course they have, to push the Russians back. The only thing that I must say that the Russians had some plans, some goals regarding this area, and of course with establishing control over Tatyanovka, they managed to complete all their goals for this week. We didn't expect that they will be very fast, so that they will achieve their goals so soon. And for now we can say that the Russians' goals for this week has been changed, and of course they need by the end of this week, if it's possible, of course, to establish control over Bogorodichne. So it will be very nice for them, and to establish control over Prishep. So they need to increase and develop this bridgehead. But if we are talking about the Ukrainians, of course, they need to start regrouping. They need to start moving here some reinforcement. And the main idea and the thing that they can do, of course, to establish their defense positions here. I'm not sure that they are able to hold the bridgehead between Dolina, Bogorodichne and Prishep. I'm not sure about this because the Russians are so aggressive and they're pushing. But on this line, they will have another time. They will win another time if they are able to stop Russian here. There is a road, nice supply, so this front line will be supported by the Ukrainians, can be supported. There is another Sherwood forest here, so the Ukrainians can have a lot of high positions with artillery, with heavy tanks and so on, and to try to keep the Russians on this line as long as possible. This is the vital question for them. And they need to do this, and they need to regroup and change in their tactic everything they need to do this. So, if they are able to do this, the only one danger, the only one unsafe place might be Raigorodok. There are very heavy clashes here, and I see that the Russians there projected these steps, this situation in Svyatogorsk, and even before the situation in Svyatogorsk, the Russians started their offensive operations towards Raigorodok. They were trying to build pontoon bridges, and we know, and one is the most important factor for this summer, is that the level of the water in Severodonetsk river fall down every day. And now the Russians can use the amphibious tanks, amphibious equipment, armored equipment. So the Ukrainians need to be sure that this area is also protected. Because if you establish near the Sherwood forest very nice fortified position, but you lost position near Raigorodok, we can say that this area is just useless waste of time. So we'll see what's next, and I'll keep you updated about this area as well. Now let's talk about Severodonetsk. This is our Severodonetsk. You see that there is also two very important icons. One icon is above Borivske, another icon is above airport, and that means that both these territories is under Russian. So there is no icon, no any update above Voronovo, but there is update above airport. So that means that Voronovo is also under the Russians' control. We got this update this morning. Yesterday in the evening, we got first update that the Russians attacked Borivske and that they managed to establish control and capture one of the most fortified positions near Borivske. They established control over so fortified position that some Russian sources said so there was no need to control this area anymore. And this morning we got updates that the Russians established control over airport and over Borivske. Let's take a look at our West sources map. As you can see, there is no updates. So as you can see, there is no even icons saying us that there are some clashes. Of course, we need to understand that maybe the Russians attacked this area. Maybe there are some heavy clashes there. So we're gonna see in a few days if this information was true, and of course this map will be updated as well. But for now, let's update this map according to Russian information, just for better understanding of the situation near Severodonetsk. So we can say that Ukrainian still controls industrial zone. This is the industrial zone of Severodonetsk. This is one. And a small part of Lysnaya Dacha. The small edge is Lysnaya Dacha. And Syrotine. I'll give you my opinion. Now I understand that those counter-offensive operations that Ukrainians did a few days ago towards Lysnaya Dacha, Syrotine. So you remember there was offensive operation in this area. And according to that offensive operation, according to the Ukrainian sources, they managed to push the Russians back, and they managed to return more than 90% of the territory of the town. So it was their vision of that situation. But now I understand that the main idea of that operation was to return control over Syrotine and Lysnaya Dacha. And the purpose of these returns was to give opportunity forces from Borivsky, Voronov, and Metelkino to retreat. Because if you remember many videos in a row, I told you that the main idea of the Russians, the main tactic, to attack and to split territories. And the Russians were attacking Svyatogorsk a few weeks ago, the week ago, just to encircle Borivsko-Voronovo group. And there are a lot of forces there. And we know that. For example, the Russians already managed to cut the road that connects Borivska and Ustinovka. So the only one way to retreat fully equipped with heavy armored tanks was using this road. This road towards industrial zone, and after that from industrial zone to Lysychansk using this bridge, maybe some pontoon bridges, maybe the Ukrainians also have some amphibious technologies and so on. But I think that in a day or in two we're gonna see how the entire Ukrainian army are leaving this area. I'm not sure about industrial zone, because industrial zone is very tasty trap for the Russians. Of course, there I saw video from this side of Lysychansk, and you can see this industrial zone like in front of your eyes. And of course, if the Russians are trying to attack, it's a very nice opportunity to cover them with their artillery, with mines, with mortars, of course. So that's why I think that this area, the Ukrainians will try to keep this area as long as possible. But I am sure that they're going to leave Severodonetsk, because the Russians, of course, they will try to attack in this direction, trying to cut the forces, the rear guard forces in Severodonetsk from the entire big land. So we're going to see what's going to be next. But I think that also by the end of this week, the Russians will try to establish control over Severodonetsk as well. Just they will keep the only industrial zone, and they are going to wait better opportunity to attack Lysychansk, and after that to establish control over the industrial zone. So we are very close about Lysychansk assault operation. The Russians are very close. They are right in front of this river. But I must say that I'm not sure that they're going to attack Lysychansk in front. For these purposes, maybe they're going to use Svyatogorsk. But we see that there are also a lot of problems. The Russian has a lot of problems here, because we can say that they're moving very slowly. They're moving, of course. You see that there is some clashes near Toshkovka, Vrubivka is under heavy bombing, Nikolaevka is under shelling. Of course, in a week, in a two, we're gonna see how the Russians are establishing control over this area. So let's say that in a week or in a two, let's say the Russians are able to establish control over this area. So let's update this area just for better understanding. So let's say this is our situation in this Lysychansk agglomeration, for example, in 2 weeks. Let's say that the Russians are able to establish control over Svyatogorsk area in 2 weeks, and for example, let's say in 2 weeks we see this picture. And the question is, what's next? To tell the truth, I can't say that the losing of Svyatogorsk area means the total destroy of Lysychansk agglomeration. No, it's not. And mainly because of that fact that the Ukrainians still have possibility to supply and support their area with this road. Furthermore, the Ukrainians, I'm sure that they have already moved here so much support, supply, weapon, equipment, forces, food, medicine, aids, everything they need to hold this siege as long as possible. I'm sure about this. If they didn't do this, they would already run from this area on their foot. Because what's the point to protect this area without everything I just mentioned? Okay, let's say the Russians are able even to cut this road. Still, the Ukrainians have a lot of possibility to hold this area. But we are talking about this bridgehead. Okay, the Russians are able to establish control. So what's next? Let's take a look at this map from another point of view. This is it. This is our bridgehead. This is yellow line is the current front line. This is Severodonetsk, Borovska, Voronov that was established control over today. This is this is Sirotina, Ustinovka, Toshkovka, Zlatoye-Gorskaya. This is Vrubivka, Nikolaevka, Kamyshevacha. So this is the current front line from this point of view. let's project this area as if the Russians are able to establish control over this territory, over Zvyatogorsk cauldron. So this is the possible situation, as I told you, in 2 weeks. So the front line is not on the yellow line, but including the red line. So this is the front line. And the Russians will be very close to Lysychansk from every side. But take a look at this defense line. Belogorovka with this landfill, Zolotaryovka, this Lysychansk oil refinery, Volcharovka, Mirnaya Dolina, Alexandrovka, Belaya Gora, Lysychansk. This is a very nice position, for example, to protect themselves. Very nice position. And the main important that, this is Severodonetsk, by the way, this is the river, that there are still a lot of territory, very huge bridgehead between Severodonetsk and this red line. You see, and the Ukrainians still will have possibility to use this land, this bridgehead, to supply and support this area from the Russians. And of course, both sides understand that. Either the Russians or the Ukrainians. Everybody understands that, and they understand that well, believe me. And I know, and I'm sure, that the Russians are trying and they want to solve this issue. They need to do something with this. Of course, we can talk about Belogorovka, about establishing the second front line on this area, and we will do this. We will discuss this situation. And my projection is that the Russians are going to establish control or try to establish control over one important town in this area. The vital town, which will determine the operation in Lysychansk agglomeration. But of course, the Russians had media victory in Svyatogorsk. They established a very powerful bridgehead. Now we know and gonna see that all media all over the world will concentrate their attention over Slavyansk. And of course, this situation can give some time to the Russians in Lysychansk agglomeration, while the media in the world are going to follow Slavyansk and this area. The Russians will have time to relax, to be on safe side, to move very slow, and it's also an option, by the way. For example, if the Russians are going to concentrate their forces over Slavyansk, this will give them possibility and opportunity to slow down a little bit in Lysychansk agglomeration, not to be in a hurry, to do everything slowly. And by the way, by the time they will achieve some success in Lysychansk agglomeration, they can again concentrate all media attention to this town, and the job will be done. By the time we're gonna see how the situation develops around Slavyansk. So this is also an option, by the way. I will make shorter. The Russian now can concentrate their attention towards Slavyansk, media attention towards Slavyansk, and meanwhile they can a little bit slow down near Lysychansk while handling with Svyatogorsk, while cracking this net on the north of Popasna, while trying to cross the river somewhere else in this area, and this is a very good option. But yesterday I mentioned on the Russian sources map in this area one very important icon. And that icon said that the Russians were doing demining in this area. This is the area between Rubezhnoye and between Kremenная. This area is right now under demining process. This is Lysychansk, this is Belogorovka, where the Russians try to establish pontoon bridges, and the Russians are doing demining. You know, the military forces are doing demining in few cases. The first case is when they're trying to establish control between towns and they want to demine the roads for communication from Kremenная and Rubezhnoye. And the second case when the army are doing demining in some certain region, for example, in this forest, is if this army are planning to start offensive operation in this area. So I think in my projection is that the Russians are planning to try to cross the river near Privolye and to establish control over this town. And if they are able to do this, we can start counting days when the Lysychansk agglomeration falls. And this area is perfect for another attempt of crossing. somewhere here. It's like the same situation with Tatyanovka. You see, there's very close these towns, Rubezhnoye, Staraya Krasnyanka, Kremenaya, very close to this village. And believe me, because of the fact that this village right in front of the river, because of the fact that the level of the water moves down, it's not so difficult. Of course, there would be casualties and losses, but it's not so difficult as it was before to cross the river and try and did another attempt, or the first attempt, of taking Privolye. So this is my opinion, that there is a very high chance that situation in Lysychansk agglomeration can start developing this direction, or the Russians will choose another option just to crack this nut very slowly, step by step, trying to push, trying to fight meter for meter. This is also an option. So 3 options in this case for the Russians, how to solve the situation with Lysychansk agglomeration. And at the end of the video, I want to repeat one more time that military summary condemns all violence, any type of aggression on the territory of Ukraine, both against Ukrainian citizens and against citizens of DPR and LPR. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, and enjoy your day. Bye bye.